Hey there YouTubers, thanks for tuning in to Blazebeat Racing. Today I've got an update on my S197 Mustang GT. It's a 2005, it's got the 4.6 3-valve, very happy with this engine. It sounds a lot better than the 5-liter Coyote engines, which are the newer ones. Everybody that has driven both says that, and I have to agree. So in this video I'm going to be going over the upgrades, the performance upgrades that I've done. I have tons of cosmetic upgrades, so I'll have those listed in the description if you're interested in seeing what those were. And so I'll start with the engine bay. Obviously I've got a strut tire stabilizer bar in there. I've got an engine trim cover kit. It's a pretty lengthy process to install actually for an engine cover kit, but it makes a huge difference in looks. I really like that classic look. So I just got Cook's headers and exhaust with high flow cats installed, and I already had Pipes Violator mufflers on there. I had those on there for like about a year. They really made a great difference in sound. Really crackly and rumbly. Really like those. When I bought the Mustang, it already had this Airaid cold air intake on there. It's the best intake you can get for this Mustang, really. Well, there's other ones that are about as good, but this one's really good. The guy at the Dyno Tune shop said that it's really good. I also got a GMS, that's Granatelli Motorsports, twin 62mm throttle body installed, and it's the second best one you can get for this engine. I had to modify the covers, this cover mostly, and this one barely fit, but I had to modify this one on the inside here with a Dremel for it to be able to fit, and it still barely fit on there. But so yeah, keep that in mind. I didn't upgrade the cams on it because it makes the car less streetable. The cams, the aftermarket cams available for this car, they take away your bottom end power. They pretty much move it to the top end, give you a bump in horsepower, but they take away your low end power, and it's not as good for a daily driver car, that's what this is. I'm just trying to give it as much low end power as possible, and this engine is breathing at as much as it can right now, so that gives it massive torque. I'll have the horsepower and torque numbers posted at the end of the video, just so I don't get any of them mixed up, because there's two different types of dynos and then converted to brochure crank horsepower. I'll have that at the end so that you can compare it to other new cars. I have 18-inch rims from American Muscle. I really like this style. I think it suits the full black look. And I have Nitto NT 555s on there, and I'm really impressed with those tires. This car actually handles shockingly well. It just blew my mind. That was the most surprising thing about this car, is it handles like a lighter car. Right now it weighs about 3,400 pounds, but it feels a lot lighter, very responsive steering, and yet it absorbs like cement filler and bumps like that on the road very well, because it's advanced suspension. And it still has the straight axle in the back, which is very reliable, but it's the final straight axle that Ford developed for the Mustang, which was a very good one, very reliable, but pretty advanced for a straight axle, so I'm actually really happy with that. And this is the premium model GT Mustang. So this one has a better sound system. It has the Shaker 1000, which has two big subs in the back, and I get a nice one in each door. So a really nice sound system with a 6 CD changer. Since it's 2005, they didn't have the MP3 jack, even though it says it right there. That's not a big deal for me, really, because this car sounds really good, so I'm not worried about that. I have an MSD shift light on there, those are really fun. And if you have a pretty fast car or a car with tight gears, definitely I would recommend putting one of those in, because they're just really fun. So I have it set to 5,500 RPM. The rev limiter is set to 6,300, even though stock the red line's at 6 or 62, I think, somewhere around there. And I've got a Barton short shifter installed. This isn't the knob it came with. This is a bigger knob. These knobs actually cost quite a bit, shifter knobs for the bigger ones, but they feel really good in the hand. And the stock driver's seat I wasn't impressed with at all, because I was sliding around on it like butter, because this car actually handles really well, and it was just sliding me into the door and sliding me into the console. So I put this Corbu racing seat in, made a huge difference. So as I mentioned before, got this car dyno tuned, and I'm pretty much done with all the horsepower upgrades. Don't have any more planned now. Only thing left that I'm planning to upgrade is the brakes. I bought a full brake kit from Power Stop, slot in drilled rotors and carbon infused pads, so they won't really screech on the street because they're not racing pads, which are really screechy, but these ones are as good as you can get without having the screech. So you can easily take them to the track and they'll take a lot of abuse, and the rotors and pads won't overheat, so you won't get brake fade. And that's a really good budget brake upgrade kit because it gives you a 20% increase in brake performance, and they're only about $350 US. And yeah, I really like the interior on these cars. The wheel is pretty classy. The gauges are nice and old school, nice old school dash. I really love that Barton short shifter because it's classic type look. And you could get the Hurst one, but there's some bad reviews on it, so I stayed away from that one. This Barton one it's right up there with the best short shifters you can get for this car. And it doesn't look like a, or tricked out tuner car style one, because I wanted that classic muscle look. Eventually I'm going to get slightly bigger rear tires, like with a bigger sidewall, but I'm really happy with these. I just want to, try and help that muscle car look as much as possible, but I think it's really pulling it off. This car's looking badass. But yeah, it sounds really mean, so I'll have some exhaust clips in the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Also, I'd like to quickly compare the Bama downloadable tunes to the dyno tune. So when I bought this car, the stock ECU settings were no longer usable because it has a cold air intake that I bought the car with, and that cold air intake, you can buy kits that come with a Bama performance tuner, and that is what I'd recommend to you guys. The only issue with this one is that since I didn't buy the Bama tuner myself, I couldn't download more tunes onto it. So if I did any more performance upgrades like headers or throttle body or cams or anything, I couldn't make the car run with those, because it won't run with those kind of upgrades with these newer car ECUs. So I had to get it dyno tuned basically, or buy another tuner, but there was no point in that. So anyway, so I'll start with the 87 Bama performance tune. It's actually a very good tune for like a daily driver car, and really good linear power right from the bottom, smooth power at the bottom, and that's what you need for city driving. And it just was tons of fun at lights, and you can easily get the tires spinning with it. And one time, not long after I bought the car, actually, it had harder tires on it that were pretty old, so that kind of helped. But one day I just decided to give her, and so I gassed it, pulling onto the highway, drifted onto the highway in first, put her in second, burned rubber through that whole gear, put her in third, and then it kept spinning tires all the way up to almost 100 kilometers an hour. And I was just laughing. That was one of the funnest things I've ever done, to be honest. But so yeah, the 87 tune is great value, and you can still put that crappy 87 gas in it and it'll run great. And just remember, this is Canadian 87. That's like 85 for you guys in the US. So yeah, just shockingly good power for trash gas. Then I decided to put the 91 Bama performance tune on just for a month before I got it dynoed for fun, but or for like 3 weeks or something. But anyway, I didn't like that tune as much for daily driving, because when you're at lights in the city or stop signs or whatever, at low RPMs, this baby is very touchy. it just wanted to jolt, like it wanted to spin rubber right off the bat. So you had to be super smooth with your clutch and throttle. And it definitely had a huge bump in power though, like probably at least 20 horsepower, probably 30 horsepower bump. And definitely noticed a good hit midway through the power to up high. This thing was hauling. But so that's also the Canadian Trash 91, which is more like 87 for you guys in the US. So this was without the Cook's headers and the X-pipe and high flow cats, and the GMS throttle body, the twin 62mm throttle body. I got all those put on at once with a 91 dyno tune, and noticed a huge difference in power, especially 3,500 RPM to 5,500 RPM. Huge boost in power, huge difference in sound, way more raspy, higher pitch, and then yet when you're cruising at like 2,000 RPM, 2 to 225, which is usually where I cruise at, it sounds like a way bigger engine. This engine is only a 281 cubic inch engine, but it just sounds wicked. It's just got that rasp, and it'll sound better than any Coyote engine. And yet it'll sound like a big 440 when you're just cruising down the highway or whatever. So yeah, I just love this engine. It's more torquey than the Coyote engines too. And the other thing that I'm going to do is I'll put in a lightweight flywheel. But my clutch is, it's doing fine, so I'm not gonna worry about that until the clutch eventually goes. I'm not dropping the clutch or anything because, you know, I'm not one of those goons that will just burn rubber at every site of, you know, trying to get attention or anything. I don't care about that. So, and the other upgrade that I have into this car that I forgot to mention is I have a Ford Performance lightweight one-piece drive shaft, and that helps give you a little bit more quicker response and power, less drivetrain loss. But they are $800, which is a pretty big ticket item for a small difference in performance. But I just did full bolt-ons on this car. Should be running low 12s with all the upgrades that I have into it. For my 280ZX, that thing's a 15-second car. I've seen stock ones run mid-15s. This one should be running like mid to high 14s once I have the stage 3 cam in it.